Welcome to the Light and Shadow podcast. I am Grey, quantum-informed spiritual mentor, founder of the Grey Ethereus Academy, and creator of the Alchemical Pattern-to-Healing Framework. I work at the threshold where insight alone stops working and real transformation begins. This is the space for the spiritually aware who are ready to go deeper than healing has taken them. Today's conversation is about perception. Not the kind we usually rely on, but the kind most people dismiss as impossible. We are talking about telepathic communication with animals, intuitive medicine, and the question of whether these abilities are paranormal phenomena or untapped human capacities that we have simply learned to ignore. My guest is Terry J., an intuitive medium, animal communicator, horse whisperer, and medical and veterinary intuitive with 35 years of experience. Terry's journey began when she heard a nonverbal child speak to her telepathically in her horseback therapy program, an experience that completely changed her understanding of what communication could be. Since then, she has developed a practice that bridges healing for both people and animals, written 3 books on developing intuitive abilities, and appeared as herself in the mind-bending documentary series for Paul T. Goldman. What sets Terry apart is her insistence that this work is not mystical, it is physics. Energy, frequency, vibration. And she believes everyone has these abilities. What I appreciate about Terry's approach is that she does not ask you to take her word for it. She teaches people to develop these capacities themselves, to test them, to discern between intuition and imagination, and to use them responsibly. Before we start, I want to say this. Some of you listening may have experienced moments of knowing that you could not explain. Some of you may be skeptical about telepathy or animal communication. Some of you may work with animals and have wondered if what you sense is real. All of those positions are welcome here. This conversation isn't about proving anything. It is about exploring what becomes accessible when we expand our definition of communication. Terry, welcome to the Light and Shadow podcast.
So much for having me. I'm really happy to be here and share this information with you.
Awesome. Terry, you have shared that your abilities began when you heard a nonverbal child communicate with you in your horseback therapy program. What exactly did that experience feel like from your perspective?
It really was bizarre. You know, I'm a down-to-earth Nevada cowgirl. I'm out there shoveling manure every morning. You know, I couldn't be more down-to-earth. And so I picked the child up out of his wheelchair and put him on the back of one of my horses. And he said, "Ouch, I have a cramp in my hip." And I looked at him and I said, "You have a cramp," which is kind of normal with somebody that has cerebral palsy. And I said, "Here, sit this way, it'll take the cramp out." And he said, "Hey, you can hear me." And I said, "Well, of course I can hear you." It didn't dawn on me at the time that he wasn't talking out loud.
Oh, wow.
And so we went through our routine of doing the vaulting, which is gymnastics on horseback. And then I took him off the horse and put him back in his wheelchair, and he went back to class. And the gal that was helping me said, "Boy, he's sure talking great." And I missed the sarcasm. I totally missed it. I said, "Well, you know, he's very bright. Just because he has CP doesn't necessarily mean that he has cognitive issues." And she looked at me, she said, "Terry, he didn't say a word. He can't, remember? If I was a horse, I would have done a buck, fart, snort, because they do all 3 of those things when they're spooked." And I was spooked. So I went into the classroom and they put the band around his head with a pointer, and he had typed out on his computer, "Horse lady can hear me." They didn't remember my name, but they knew that I was the horse lady. So I had confirmation, and then I stood there very aware that I could communicate with him telepathically. But it was weird. It was really weird.
Beautiful. So it wasn't ambiguous. It was clear. It was direct. It was unmistakable. It was not a feeling or impression, but actually communication that bypassed spoken language entirely.
Yes. Absolutely. But he was so telepathic, and he did say that he did it with his mom. You know, that's how him and his mom communicated. So he was really good at it.
Oh,
And
wow.
I'd never had any experience like that before. So I went back outside, and the gal that was helping me just said, well, if you can hear him, you ought to learn to communicate with the horses, because all the animals are telepathic. And wouldn't that make the program really safe? And I mean, you could have knocked me over with a feather. But I was so naive about the whole process. I just sort of went, okay, that's what I'm going to do. And there were no books. Great. There were no books at the time, maybe one or two, and they were not helpful.
Wow. How long ago did that start?
1990.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So at that time, how did you interpret what was happening? Did it feel intuitive, psychological, or something else?
I think I just didn't understand the whole thing. I didn't understand physics. And I think I just thought, oh, I can hear unspoken communication. You know, that's all I took it as.
So you didn't have a framework for it yet. You just knew something impossible had happened, and you had to either dismiss it or investigate it. And you chose investigation.
Well, I was married to a really gifted horse trainer at the time. And so we always had tons of horses coming in. And I always had about, 4 or 5 dogs too. But we had all these horses coming in. And so I just had lots and lots of individuals to practice on. And what was such a huge blessing about the same time is we heard about chiropractic for horses. And that's so necessary and so huge to their comfort. And so we had these horses come in with behavior issues that were absolutely fixed with one chiropractic adjustment. And these are horses that were dangerous, flipping over, rearing up and flipping over, spinning and getting their riders off. So the two just sort of meshed at the same time. The fact that one, I could go, this horse has pain here. And really at the time I had no idea how I was picking it up. And then getting the chiropractor out to take care of him, it just made a huge difference. Huge. And everybody was singing my husband's praises, like, oh, he's the best horse trainer. And he'd roll his eyes and go, no, we just had the chiropractor out.
So when you communicate with animals, okay, how does that information come through? Is it visual? Is it emotional? Is it sensory? Is it something else? How did you know this is the pain, here's the pain?
Well, I need to preface it, Gray, by the fact that I was a freaking mess at the time. It was a terrible marriage, trying to raise his 2 kids that were they both had problems. I won't mention what they are. And so it was a really bad marriage. He's an alcoholic. And I was messed up from my childhood and had no idea of that. So not only has my ability developed on the way, but I've healed myself along the way. And you cannot do this if you're not healed. You cannot.
Yes.
You cannot. You know this. You know this. This is your work.
Yes, 100%.
So the big thing is that it started me down the path of self-healing. And I didn't really know what I was getting or how I was getting it. I just sort of knew it. It was like an unconscious knowing is how I would describe it. And I think that's one of the definitions of intuition.
Okay. So basically we can say it's multimodal, images, feelings, body sensations, sometimes direct knowing. It's not one channel. It's whatever the clearest signal in that moment you pick it up.
Absolutely. And now I know, because of studying physics, that it's taste and smells and sounds and the feelings can be emotional, tactile, pain. And the huge blessing I had is very early on, I ended up working with 2 energy healers. And so they really helped me to heal myself, but they taught me that you can't have an ego and do this work. Ego means easing God out. Yes. Which I love. Yes.
Yeah.
And they taught me to get out of my own way, to stop thinking,
Mm-hmm.
which that was very easy for me.
Yeah.
Stop
Yeah.
thinking, Terry. Okay, I can do that. And just go into feel mode, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so sometimes early on, I would get it in my body. Like this would be the heel bulb of a horse's hoof. I don't know why,
Mm-hmm.
but that would be the heel bulb if it was sore there. Um,
Wow.
it's really funny because I go, oh, they're off on their right front. Oh no, they're off on their left front. I feel it in my body. It was really weird
That's
because I'd
impressive.
watch what my body was doing, or then I'd go like this, oh, he's got left
Wow.
TMJ. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So I'd start picking up on stuff. It was like I was shown in my body because I didn't have the skill set to just look at their body. But the
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
cool thing that was you'll appreciate this is that they'd say, look inside the horse and see what you see. And I go, you can't do that. You need an MRI or CAT scan. And they'd say, well, why do you think you can't look inside a horse?
Mm.
Well, I don't know. Well, don't you think
Yeah.
if you tried, you could? Well, okay.
Exactly.
And so then it just removed any limiting thoughts or abilities that you can't do that. It all
Yeah.
became possible.
For the one who's listening and who are new to this, your only limiting or obstacle in life is you, not anyone else, not any person, not the money, and not God. There's no punishment. You stand between yourself and your abilities and your expansion. It's just you. So once you
Yes.
remove that ego, and you is the ego, is the fears, is the limiting beliefs, is your hesitation, it's mostly fears. This is what I put it in this category, that I cannot do this. And there's a self-doubt. This is where you cannot connect. In order to connect and to expand is to really drop that wall, right? And that's what
Oh
you did,
gosh, yeah.
Terry.
And you got to remember, when you're insecure, when you hate yourself, when you have a
Yeah,
low frequency, a low vibration, you ain't
for
going to
sure.
get nothing.
For sure.
It's really
For
going to be
sure.
limited, because when you're insecure, you're going to go into ego. Oh, I have the
For
answer. I know what that is. And
yeah,
so you have to heal yourself to do this work well. You just do.
100%, 100%. And Terry, how do you differentiate? How do you distinguish between intuition and imagination? And this is mostly for the viewers, so they can understand your perspective.
Well, ironically, the only part of the brain that's receptive to intuitive information is the imagination.
Okay.
That's where it goes. And I
Okay.
think it's just a matter of practice to where you can get to where, it's not your imagination. And, there's some times when I get stuff and I'll even tell my clients, I'm not sure about this, but here's what I'm getting. So
Yeah.
can you interpret that? And they'll go, oh, I know exactly what that is. So they can fill in the blanks, if you're not sure about it. And my
So
clients,
basically,
they love it when I go, I'm not too sure. And I don't know what this is. And they go, because I'm not coming from ego, like, I know the answer to everything,
yeah, 100%,
I
100%.
don't.
Yeah,
I
basically,
don't.
basically, intuition arrives without effort for the ones who are wondering. It just comes without effort. It just, and it's often unexpectedly, and it carries
Yes.
information you didn't already have.
You know what else,
Ter
Gray?
Yeah, yeah.
When I'm teaching this, I teach the
Mm.
freaking timing. That's what people miss, is the timing.
What do you mean?
Because when you're having a telepathic conversation, and I do this with like nonverbal autistic people too, it's so bizarre because mentally you're going, hey, did you, oh, well, what about, oh. So, we're taught how to converse. I talk, you wait, you talk, I wait. Well, you can't do that with telepathy or intuition. And I want to clarify that too. To me, telepathy is words. It's just words and thoughts. If you add
That
in
comes in.
intuition, which has a terrible definition online, by the way, it's just in
Yeah.
yourself, your stuff. No. Intuition gives it richness. It's tastes and smells and sounds and feelings. It's the whole spectrum of sensations that you can get.
And it's like
so
broadcasting. It's like a TV that is broadcasting everything. You can see the visual, you can feel the sensation. Whatever you're picking up, this is what your intuition is. Just you are a receiver of that.
But I tell them, trust the speed that it comes in. If you have to think about something, you've missed it. You've missed it.
100%.
Because it comes in so fast.
Yes, it has to be very quick. And plus, you need to trust it.
Yes.
Because a lot of people just like there's a self-doubt. Oh, maybe I'm overthinking it. Oh, maybe no, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. Oh, no. The first feeling, the first thought, the first whatever comes in, lock that in.
Yes. Absolutely. 100%. And it's really why people don't trust it.
Yes, exactly. This is also, we're saying, the block of the ego. We go back to that. So, Terry, do different animals communicate differently, or is there a common language behind it?
I think it really depends on the relationship with their humans.
Okay.
Because, dogs are like freaking family members.
100%.
They're in your house, they're in your bed, they're sharing their meal, you're sharing your meals with them. They go everywhere with you. They just have more in your life. Whereas, if you have a horse, how many times a day are you going out there? How many times are you riding? The relationship doesn't tend to get as deep unless you're, in strict competition. You're going to a different competition all the time. I don't mean this in a negative way, but they have the exact same relationships as we do with dogs because of the amount of time they're spending together and achieving goals together. And it's just different. It's just different.
So the mechanism is universal. It's energetic. It's nonverbal. But is the content and style vary based on the nature and consciousness of the animal? Or let's say a horse can communicate differently than a cat, but not in a method. It's just the essence, correct? Is that what it is?
First of all, cats train us. We don't train cats. They train us.
Oh, yeah.
And they're usually very demanding. I seldom talk to a cat that's upset. They're going to get their way no matter what. And then they're so smart. But our dogs, they're with us. Do you know what I mean? They're whatever our agenda is, they're with us. And then horses are going to be with us as long as they're comfortable. They've got to have regular chiropractic and acuscope in order to be comfortable. And I just talked to a horse that got adjusted once a year. And I went, okay, his pain's an 8. He hasn't killed you yet? You know what I mean? So, and I would say it's different. Like when my ex started working with wild horses, because we're real close to the BLM corrals. Nevada's got the most wild horses of any state. And so when he'd go pick up a horse for a client and bring it home, it was so sad because and people that are adopting them don't get this. That wild horse is saying, oh my God, don't kill me and eat me. That's what they're saying. That's not even in our wheelhouse.
Wow.
We don't think that.
Wow.
But what was so cool was that I could get across to them. No, we're not. No, we don't. No, we're not going to do that. No, we want to be your friend. We want to teach you to have fun and have a job. They would just go, and he would get horses from, the BLM corrals and ride them the next day, and they were happy.
Nice. Terry, you believe everyone has these abilities to communicate with animals and do everything else. Besides the fear and hesitation and self-doubt that blocks most people from accessing that level of perception, what is the belief that really is conditioning them to not access these abilities? Is it because they believe is it impossible, or is it believe that this is something woo-woo, or is it the belief that it's a mental noise? How can you train them out of it?
I think, sweetie pie, I think for most people it's fear. They're almost afraid of what they're going to hear, especially if you've got an old dog or an old horse. It's like, I don't want to know. Are they ready to go? And animals obviously don't have that in their knowledge base that they could go. They don't.
Yeah.
They have a will to live, and when their quality of life is gone, they give up. That's it. And that's what people tend to pick up on. But I think that a lot of people think this is too woo-woo, that it's mystical, or only people that are special can do this, which is total BS, because everybody can learn it. I mean, I've trained, probably thousands of people to do this, and I've got 3 books that teach people how. It is that simple. And I think the other thing too is that there are drawbacks to it. I mean, because you can hear humans' thoughts too, and a lot of times you don't want to hear humans' thoughts, especially when you go out in public and things, Yeah, I get way more information than I need. I mean, I usually look like I have poor self-esteem because my eyes are down, my head is down. I'm not making eye contact with anybody, because if I make eye contact with somebody, it's like, oh God, you know what I mean?
And you're receiving all these thoughts. Terry, what changes in someone's awareness?
See, everybody's doing this anyway, Gray. There isn't anybody who hasn't thought of someone that they haven't heard from in a long time. The phone rings, it's them. So who sent who the message? Everybody does that.
100%.
I was just thinking about you. That. Why? Why were you just thinking about them, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so everybody's doing it anyway, just to smaller degrees. Think about cell phones. There's no wires. It's just going over the airwaves. Well, we don't need the cell phones to do that. And the thing that I love about it is I never lose contact with loved ones that have passed. That is, I mean, if you need a reason to learn to do this, it's to learn to communicate and hear your loved ones that have passed. Oh my God. I don't even think I grieve enough, because to me, they're not gone. They're just non-physical energy beings. And it doesn't matter if it's humans or horses or dogs.
Energy is energy,
gone.
Because
they're here.
Yes, 100%. The body is gone, but the soul and the essence, or the energy, is still there, because it is.
Right.
It cannot be destroyed. It cannot be ended in any shape, way, or form. It's eternal.
That's right. We forget that we're only 1% physical. We're 99% energy. So when we lose our shells, we just return to being pure positive energy. I have coffee with my mom every morning. She's been gone since 18.
Wow, that's beautiful. Terry, what changes in someone's awareness when they begin to tune into these subtle signs?
I would hope that they would look at the garbage they're carrying around and decide that it's time to dump it.
Oh, yeah.
Because people don't realize that stuck negative emotions are what cause disease, dis-ease. And so the higher you raise your vibration, the more the negative crap has to come out, especially childhood crap. Oh, my Lord, people carry that crap around, all kinds of abuse. If you think about it, everybody, and I'm going to say everybody that has IBS, IBD, Crohn's, female issues, bladder issues, low back issues, that's all childhood abuse, whether you remember it or not. All of that.
I couldn't agree more.
Right. So if people learn to release all of that negative garbage, and I always recommend letter writing, write letters to people who have taken your power, because it's always the same issue. They took your power. They said you can't because less than, you're less than, you're not good enough, right? It's always the same stuff. And so if you write them letters and tell them off and then burn the letters, not the people, you burn the letters, And you
Yes.
cannot believe how good you feel. And while you're burning it, you go, nobody's ever going to treat
Oh
me like
yeah.
that again.
Oh yeah.
Take your power
Yeah,
back.
I do that, and I also teaches that. It's just
Yes.
you might not feel immediate relief, but you
Right.
will the energy starts to fade slowly with time. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Well, it's really fun because I'll work with clients that have these kinds of intestinal issues or female issues, and I work with them. And of course, they're so into, and I go, "Oh no, I had a great childhood," and they almost sound robotic when they're saying it. I had a really good childhood because they're really not in touch with what happened, right?
Yeah, yeah, they
I used to
detach,
do that. I used
dissociate
to,
from the
yeah,
past. Yeah, and then they don't know that they are carrying those emotional baggage over and over in their relationships, in their health, and
yeah,
everything health-wise is connected to what we carry over and over again, whether if it's
yeah,
fear, guilt, abuse,
yeah,
anything that happened that we did not really heal and detach and release. And basically we really need to remove all these filters, all this
right.
noise, all these
The
um
big thing for me, Gray, is when people want to do this work and they start raising their own vibration with intention by getting into love. They're loving themselves, they're loving source, they're loving other people for no freaking reason. The higher you start raising your vibration and
yeah,
bringing love in and love out,
yes, yeah,
that garbage has to come up and out because it's no longer a vibrational match to who you were.
100%.
And so that negative stuff comes out and people get flashbacks and it's like, what? Ugh, what?
Yeah,
Ugh. And they get flashbacks and it's like,
yeah,
process it, let it go.
100%.
And
Whenever I hear, people say, love and light, and they preach this love and light and these words, it just doesn't really sit well with me, because I know for a fact there's a lot of garbage inside that they didn't even try to get out or to alchemize to healing. So basically I'm like, what are you saying, love and light? Don't tell me love and lights, you're all right. You have to tell me shadow and light. Let's embrace that. And this is the light and shadow. We need to have these both. Don't just preach the light and the love, because that doesn't exist totally purely. It's not 100% there, right? We try to extract all the shadow from the light, and even we still have a lot of work to do. And as I always say, it's an onion with a lot of layers, infinite layers that you really need to peel one after the other.
it's peeling your
Ter-
onion, Gray. It's peeling your
yeah.
freaking onion.
Oh,
Right.
yeah. Terry, how do you understand energy, frequency, and vibration in your own perspective?
Oh gosh, if it wasn't for physics, I couldn't do this work. I just couldn't. And I've had, I mean, it's really funny to, because here I am, this Nevada cowgirl, and I'm like, physics, something about physics, I want to know, I'm
Yeah,
always
yeah, yeah,
learning
yeah.
about it. I'm glomming onto it. I always want to learn more and more. I just have an awareness of it 24/7. I swear I'm aware of it when I'm freaking sleeping, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
I just have an awareness. What is my frequency? What is my vibration? Am I grounded? Ooh, I really work on grounding all the time, to make sure that I'm
100%.
grounded. And it's
100%.
really fun because I've been able to ground in a jet. You really have to work on that visualization with intention to ground
Yes.
from a jet at 37,000 feet, right?
You have to. It's just in your imagination, and it happens in a fraction of a second. It doesn't
Yes,
really need too much of a concentration. Yes.
right.
Basically,
So I'm thinking
basically,
about it all the time,
yeah.
you know, and because I'm doing this work all the time, I'm always looking at people's frequencies and vibrations and things. And there's been times when I've been working on someone and I go, ew, that's me. And so I'll make a note real quick, work on blah, blah, blah. Because it's like,
Right,
I look
right.
at them and it's like, a mirror.
Yes, I do that all the time. I do that. It's crazy that once you become very aware, you're just basically scanning. You're just, oh, this
Yes,
is okay. Then I really need to work on this one.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So basically, everything is vibrating at different frequencies, and perception is the ability to tune into and decode these frequencies, like a radio finding a signal.
Yeah. And we have the ability to change frequency, and the higher the higher our frequency or vibration is, the healthier we are too.
For sure. In your work with animals and people, what have you seen shift most when someone becomes more aware of these connections? One, and what have you seen most when someone dies, a beloved one dies, an animal dies, and how do you connect the dots with the afterlife?
I think it's really important that when we're dealing with animals and humans that are non-physical energy beings, that we need to understand that in that moment of passing, there was a lot of forehead smacking with people, like, oh, I could have done things differently. But the big thing, and this really pisses me off to no end, is that people will shed off everything that is not a vibrational match to source energy. They'll shed everything off. Unfinished business, regrets, pain, suffering, fear, all of that low vibration crap gets shed off and left behind in the earthly realm. And if you don't have discernment, which I'm going to say it this way, all of the TV mediums lack discernment, every last one of them. They will tune into that negative energy garbage because it looks like, feels like, and sounds like the deceased. There's not
There's
them.
a lot of, I'm going to cut you off here. For the viewers, you need to understand something. There are a lot of tricksters energies that can really imitate the positive and the light. So discernment is key. Please continue, please.
Okay. So we have to have discernment if we're going to do this work. Discernment, very simply, is the ability to tell the difference between positive and negative energy. So all of the TV mediums, all of them, they do not have discernment. They will tune into that negative energy garbage and share it as if they are connected to the deceased loved ones. They are not. They are dumpster diving. They are in the garbage that the person left behind, or the animal too. So you will never get anything negative in a medium reading. Never. If you start getting something negative and they're not couching it by saying, I'm in the negative energy the person shed off and I'm getting the apology for you. It's not with them on the other side because they don't remember that they did something wrong. So if they don't specify where it's coming from and they're sharing it as if it is coming from the deceased, get out of there because they're not going to help.
Then it's a trickster energy.
Discernment is so important in mediumship. And I'm sorry, but they all lack it. Not one of them will go, I'm getting something negative. Let me tell you where it's coming from. They just share it as if it is coming from the deceased. It's not.
Okay, so how do you ensure accuracy or responsibility when sharing those intuitive information with someone, whether if it's a deceased dog, a horse, a human being, whatever?
I just share what I get as long as it's positive.
As long as it's positive. So it should be positive. This is how you know this is not a trickster energy. This is
right.
Right. So this is actually the soul, because the soul cannot embody any negative unless it's coming from negative forces or negative energies.
Right.
The soul, the essence, is coming only from the light, from the positive.
Yes.
So any type of positive information messages, it is 100% coming from that side.
Right. I was doing a medium reading for a family. It was a group reading. I love doing group readings. They're so fun. Anyway, the lady that passed, she's yelling at me and she's going, tell him yellow bricks, tell him yellow bricks. And I'm going, what are we talking? Wizard of Oz, Yellow Brick Road? She goes, no, just tell him yellow bricks. Okay. So I told him that. I said, she's telling me to tell you all yellow bricks. They all lost it. That makes no sense to you or me. And they all lost it, Gray. It was unbelievable, laughing, crying. I mean, you could just hear them. And I said, okay, I give up. What's the significance? And the husband said, I just had 9 pallets of yellow bricks delivered at our house in Hawaii for the patio.
This is impressive. This is crazy.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean,
so you get details like that make no sense to you, and you share them.
But it makes sense to them.
Like you have no business,
Right,
I mean, you have no
right.
idea what it is. But that's what is so fun. I've been at this 36 years, and I'm excited for every reading. I'm so
Right.
excited.
It is exciting. And yes, 100%, I agree that discernment is everything. Without it, you are just projecting.
Right.
With it, you can separate signal from the noise, reception from construction, clarity from wishful thinking.
It's just it's so fun. I'm working on a TV show, I'm getting a TV show, and it's like, hey, if we do streaming, we can call it I Can't Make This Stuff Up. I use the other S word.
I love that.
Because it's just too specific.
Well, Terry, a few weeks ago, I lost my dog.
Oh.
I just want to know if there is any for the viewers, and I do have also another dog who's actually sitting next to me. If we can get anything from them.
So who is the dog that passed? What's the name?
Sasha.
And how old?
11.
And what breed?
Chow.
A Chow Chow?
Yeah.
And what happened, sweetie?
Kidney failure and cancer in the stomach.
Oh, I love this dog. She's an amazing dog. She says she wants to come back, so you better get a puppy because she wants to come back.
I was thinking of that because I got the same thoughts that you just told me.
Yes.
That she's coming back.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
my God. I love that. I love the confirmation. I just got goosebumps.
Yeah. But Gray, the reason is she says you're high maintenance and that she keeps your schedule for you. And so that she needs to come back to make sure you don't mess up.
Oh my God, I can't. That's beautiful. I love that. I love that.
And she can come back as any breed,
She's not going to come back as any breed.
You can get any breed. It doesn't have to be the same breed. And
it
doesn't have to be the same sex.
Right. And so this is all from her?
Yes, yeah.
And what about this one who's just right next to me?
Who is this dog?
This one is Corvette. That's his name. Bernedoodle.
And how old?
3 years.
Oh, I like this dog. He's a few fries short of a Happy Meal.
He is. Yes.
He is. But part of it's an act.
What do you mean?
Because he thinks if he acts like he has no idea what you're talking about, then he doesn't have to do it. So not all of it is kosher.
Not all of it is kosher.
Yeah.
I love that.
Some of what he does is like, oh, what are you talking about? I have no idea. And he does exactly what you want.
Exactly. That's what happens.
Yes.
He just behaves as if he doesn't know, and then he does what I asked him to. He just do it. And he knows exactly what I'm saying. Sometimes he plays dumb. Yes.
Yeah, so he really does. He does. The other thing is he's missing some toys. Excuse me. He says his toys are like under something, like under the bed, under the sofa, and he can't get them.
Okay. Yeah, he always do that to me. Yes.
Okay, so
I will
you
try
got
to
to
check
get one of
them
those
out.
long pincher things where you can reach under the bed and get them.
I will.
Yeah.
I will go get them for him.
He's
That's
saying,
beautiful.
who has the cat? He says there's a cat that he wants to get.
My best friend has a cat, and actually, we were talking about it the other day, me and her, about her cat. But I don't bring the cats. He wants a cat? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, he smells cat on you when you go over there, or if you take him over there, he wants to get the cat. But he doesn't know what that means, but he wants to get the cat. He doesn't know
Oh,
what that means by getting it, but he wants to like
probably he's jealous
hold
of
it.
that cat. Probably is like, I don't want you to have that cat or go to that cat or something.
Something.
That's
But he's
yeah.
just really focused on that cat, the smell. I get a smell of a cat really strong.
That's crazy because that's the only cat that I know about. That's the
Right.
only cat.
Well, I don't
Anything
know if you've got neighbors that have cats. He's probably sensing them or seeing them.
probably the whole place here. There's a lot of dogs. There's a lot of cats here. So probably there's
Okay.
someone who has a cat in this, which I'm not aware of. Other than that, he plays with dogs. I just take him to with
Yeah, no,
dogs.
he loves dogs. He loves
Oh
dogs.
yeah, oh yeah, he does. He just plays with them all the time.
I really like him because he's really well socialized. And
Very.
if you watch him with the other dogs, you can mentally see him going, okay, this is a game we're going to play. This is a game we're going to play. You go over there,
Yeah,
and then I'm going to go over
yeah,
there, and then we'll get this. And he's
yes.
got the rules.
Yeah. And he loves to play. He just loves
Yeah,
to play.
he's a goof.
He is goofy. He
I'd like
is
to call him a goober
a
because
goober.
he's a goober.
I love that. I love that. This is beautiful. I love that. You guys, you really should go to terryj.com and check her appointments for animal communication. I do have a few questions for you, Terry, though.
Yes, ma'am.
So, how do you differentiate between emotional attunement, like reading the body language, the energy, the mood, and what you would call telepathic communication?
I feel like a big receiver.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize this, but behind the stomach, we have a network of nerves, like a nerve bundle, and that nerve bundle can actually receive information. And that's why people tell you, oh, I just had a gut feeling. I mean, they're
It's
really
always in the gut.
receiving it, right?
Yeah.
But I just use my whole body to receive information.
You
You know,
receive the
you
whole
just
body.
you just
Yes.
allow the information to come in.
So attunement is reading what is being expressed. Telepathy is receiving what is not being expressed externally. So the information that bypasses the sensory channels entirely and it goes through your gut, and that's why we say gut feeling.
It can, sure. But the weird part about hearing, when we're hearing information, it doesn't go into your ears, it goes into the auditory processing area of the brain right above the ears.
Okay.
And like heartbreak, I'll feel in my own heart.
Yes.
Joint pain, I'll feel I'll pick it up like in my joints. Like I told you, this is my left front leg if I'm a horse, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you do tend to feel it in
In
your
your body.
body, and you get what you just have to be receiving. And the way to trust it is what comes in really, really fast.
And that's also the same way once you are getting anxiety and out of nowhere, because you are a receiver. There's a lot of people who are empathic and they receive anxiety. And this is where also we circle back to the discernment. They really need to discern if this is their own anxiety that's living in their body or they just received it from someone else. And that is also an example of how we can know the difference. If this is
Really
a
like it,
telepathic.
Ray. I really like how you explained that. And what I did early on, because now I can, really tell the difference, but early on, I would start to ask the question, is this mine?
Yes.
And if I did, is this, boom, if it was gone, I knew it wasn't mine. Is this, boom, it's just gone. So that's how
Correct.
you know it's not yours.
Yes, when it's gone.
Right.
And Terry, what do you think these experiences reveal about consciousness itself?
Oh boy. That's a big subject.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
when I'm doing this, I feel like a humble servant. I don't feel like, Terry J in a body doing work. It feels like I expand my energy field to receive. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
It does.
Okay.
It does. You just feel an expansion in yourself, and you just do not limit yourself to anything. And this is the way what we can know that consciousness is not really local. It is interconnected, and it does not. It's not confined to the brain
Or the body.
or the body. Yeah. So then if telepathy is real, then consciousness operates at a level that current materialist models cannot account for.
Yes, it really still comes down to raising vibration, raising frequency. It still comes down to that.
For sure, for sure.
And people look at me and I'm so happy, and I'm happy all the time. I go, interact with people on the phone or in person, and they go, "Are you always like this?" And they go, "Yeah, I'm always like this." And they go, "Well, did you ever have bad stuff happen to you?" And it's like, okay, we don't have enough time to go into that, right? Yeah, but we have to do two things to survive and thrive as humans. And one is we have to be flexible, because the only thing that stays the same in life is change.
Yes.
And then we have to be resilient, meaning that we choose to bounce back from adversity. Even if that adversity is like grief or grieving, we have to be able to choose to bounce back.
Yeah, we have to release in order for us to move on. If we keep holding on to any emotional baggage, meaning grief, fear, hesitation, self-doubt, self-hatred, guilt, shame, all these type of emotions, then this is the reason why we get stuck, because the energy is stuck, is contained, and it didn't flow. Yes, pain, 100% pain, exactly. Suffering is so all these emotions, once they are contained in the simple jar that you're keeping with you throughout the years and taking it with you, and it's growing and growing and growing with you, then the energy at some point is gonna stay stuck, because that bowl or that jar of all those energies, those feelings, they are stuck. They did not flow, they did not release, and they're begging you to be released. And how to be released? By bringing other people into your life as your mirror to trigger those buttons to release. But if you keep on condensing more, you're playing the victim, your life will stay stuck. You will.
I use an example of the big canvas bags that the cotton pickers used in the South. They're like 15-foot long canvas bag with a strap that goes across your body. And it's like all the happy stuff, this is like freaking fairies around your head, right? But all the garbage, all the pain goes into that bag. And it's like somebody could tap you on the shoulder and go, "Hey, why don't you just cut that strap and walk away?" And we're like, "No." And we grab that bag. It's my stuff, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna take it with me. Yeah, it's mostly the garbage is the familiarity, and people are comfortable in that zone, and that's why when you're telling them, "Hey, release it," no, I'm comfortable with it. That's because people do fear change.
I love to look at new stuff and try new things, and somebody will go, "There's an Ethiopian restaurant. Oh, let's go.
Yeah,
whatever's new, let's go try it."
Yeah. My last question for you, Terry, is if someone listening is curious about their own intuitive abilities, what is the first step they can take to explore that safely and realistically? And later on, how can they explore that with you?
I think one of the best things they can do is get one of my books.
Okay.
I mean, really, because you're going to hear my voice in those books. I write the way I talk, and I make it really simple. It has to be simple for me, and these are things you already have. You're just going to turn them back on.
100%. So it's simple, it's embodied, and it's testable because you have been there. Not grand claims or any mystical experiences, just as well to pay attention to what is already arriving and learning to trust the signal, and they can get your book as well. Terry, this has been one of the most grounded conversations I've had about abilities most people dismiss as impossible. To everyone listening, I want to leave you with something Terry said, that these abilities are not mystical. They're capacities we all have, but have been conditioned to ignore. The question is not whether you have them. The question is whether you are willing to pay attention to what's already arriving. You can find Terry's work at terrij.com, including her 3 books on developing intuitive abilities, testimonials, videos, and her extensive press kit. She's also appeared as herself in the documentary series Paul T. Goldman, which blends fact and fiction in ways that will challenge your sense of what's real. If this conversation brought something up for you, if you have had moments of knowing you could not explain, or if you're ready to explore perception beyond the 5 senses, you can learn about my private coaching and mentorship at the link in the show notes below. If this conversation simply left you curious about what you might be filtering out, start paying attention. Not with effort, but with openness. See what arrives. This is the Light and Shadow podcast. Thank you for listening with an open mind and a discerning heart. Until next time.